Hi everyone, welcome to a new episode of Women of Community Banking podcast. We've got Amber with us. Hi Amber, how are you doing?
Doing well, thanks. How are you?
Complain. Happy Thursday, right? So we're almost there through the week. I'm just waiting for the week to get over and jump onto the weekend. So that's new for me. Uh, Quick introduction who Amber is. I mean, she's a dynamic marketing leader I met a few weeks back. Amber is Senior Vice President of Marketing of AmeriCU Credit Union based upstate New York. Again, she has that experience of outside of credit unions, and it's very impressive, right? Close to 25 years, 2.5 decades of experience in
Yes.
marketing and communications. uh, so Amber started at a real estate firm 20 years back, spent some time, moved to the startup world, B2B startups, spent almost 15 years where she wore multiple hats from marketing to communications, and ended up leading marketing for the firm. Just It's been just 5 years that she got enamored with the ecosystem of credit unions and honored us by coming into the ecosystem. So she spent almost 5 years in the ecosystem, with another credit union, now with AmeriCU. Apart from work, obviously we're having a conversation. So she does a bunch of other things. She is really passionate about supporting organizations. One of the interesting ones, very deep ones I found, was St. Catherine's, where she helps, I would say, single kids in their housing, right? That's an organization that supports single kids with housing, and also trying to bring parents and children together. So that's a very interesting thing and noble cause that she leads. And apart from that, she sits in a board of other charitable foundations within AmeriCU, right? So she leads essentially the community engagement at AmeriCU. So that's pretty much outside our work. I don't know if I did half enough justice, Amber, to your introduction, but if you want to add something, please feel free.
Yeah, no, absolutely. That was great. You're right. I've had a very diverse background in marketing, and really part of what brought me to the credit union space, and partially, as you mentioned, with the work that I like to do and the things I care about outside of work, is really the whole people helping people philosophy, being able to be very connected with our communities and being able to give back. And so, both my work in terms of overseeing community engagement as part of AmeriCU, and then also the work that I do with St. Catherine's Center for Children, being able to volunteer with them is very meaningful to me.
Absolutely great. So let me ask you a question. So you do a bunch of things. You do nonprofits, you lead the marketing charter for MISU, a large credit union, right? So what keeps you going?
I within credit unions, what keeps me going is just the ability to find fulfillment in the work that I do every day. I mean, I had spent over 15 years working for a B2B startup that I felt so passionate about and I cared about so deeply. And we moved from startup to being acquired by a Fortune 500 company. And then we were divested and then acquired again. And then we were in the process of being sold a third time when COVID hit. And really, that was at the point in my life where I thought, what am I doing with my career? What is, like, why am I getting up in the morning? Like, why am I motivated to do the things that we're doing? And I felt really unfulfilled in what it was that I was doing. I felt like as a marketer and as a leader, I was making decisions to really please a potential buyer. And it was at the expense of our employees and our clients and the products that we had to offer. And so I knew it was time to make a change because I cared so much about marketing and I cared so much about what I was doing. I was so passionate about my role, but I wasn't in the right spot for me. And I needed to find a career where I could not only get up and do the things I love to do every day, but something that was going to make me fulfilled as a person and make me feel like I was making an impact in my community. And really, most importantly, at the time I moved to credit unions, my oldest son was 13 and my youngest daughter was 3. And I thought to myself, I want my children to be able to, I want to be a role model for them and have them see what I do and understand the why for it. And so that really, like, that's what gets me moving. That's what makes me go forward every day, is being able to really believe in the work that I do. And I think that's also what keeps me here. It's really that, like I said, the credit union philosophy of people helping people. And when I moved to AmeriCU earlier this year, like, I knew I wanted to stay in the credit union space. I had It's been the best times of my professional life, and being able to wake up every morning and know that I'm going to make an impact on someone else's life through what I do in marketing and community engagement. It just means so much. And so I have no problem, keep moving forward. I don't need coffee. I don't need anything like that. All I need to do is know that I get to go out to work and do the right thing every day.
That's a very well thought out answer. Wow. So, I mean, I talked about your journey, right? But my
Mm-hmm.
audience would love to listen to your journey from you itself. So we want to talk about your journey, Amber. What has led you to taking up this role, and and how has been the journey so far?
Yeah, I mean, it's been really great. It's funny, when I was in college, I wanted to go to law school.
Interesting.
I was majoring in English. And from the moment I started my freshman year, I knew I wanted to go to law school. And so when I was a senior, I applied, I was accepted. I went to Seton Hall for about half a semester. And one day I walked into the building and I thought to myself, what am I doing? I don't even like this. This is not what my passion is, even though it's what I always thought it was. And I made that decision that day. I called my mom and I'm like, I'm quitting law school. And she was just like, okay. She's like, you'll come up with something else. But really, from there, it was like, okay, so now what am I going to do? I have a degree in English, which, my grandparents always told me, like, you're never going to be able to do anything with a major in English. And I moved. I was very, very fortunate. I had a job in publishing. I was able to get an entry level position. And then from there, after being there a very short period of time, I found a role working for a large real estate organization as a very entry level position in their internal communications department. And I just took to it instantly. I loved it. I love writing. I love communications. Was able to be, I mean, we had a very large marketing department and I played one very small role. I eventually moved from internal communications to overseeing all of communications, but I got to see everything else that really brought a marketing department together and how the different pieces fit. And from there, I knew that this was something that I really wanted to do. I made a career change, moved to the startup world where, you're doing everything. And that was fun. I mean, it was real hands-on learning to learn all of the various disciplines that make up marketing. And I've just been lucky to be able to take all of that work and move it into leadership roles in the credit union space.
Interesting. I mean, this is actually this reminds me of my mother. My mother had a major in English, so she has a master's in English, and she was a professor for almost 35 years. So next time when someone tells you that with the English major you cannot do anything, I think you have two examples now, one of yourself and one of my mother. Right? So
There you go.
amazing, amazing, great. Uh, so what is your current role at AmeriCU? I mean, I know that you lead marketing, but you want to talk about your current role? What are your areas that you operate in?
Sure. So yes, as the Senior Vice President of Marketing, I oversee a very talented staff. I have a very strong digital team. So we have, the website and social and email is all under the responsibility of that group. And we're always looking for ways to be more impactful in our efforts there. I also have an in-house creative team, which is great. I have very strong writing talents on staff. I also have a graphic designer and I have a public relations specialist. And then, as I mentioned, I oversee community engagement. So I have a team, a manager and a specialist who is responsible for our events, our charitable giving, the foundation. And then finally, what's really nice that AmeriCU has invested in and is very passionate about is I have I have an AVP who oversees projects, but she also oversees data from a marketing standpoint. So I have a data analyst on my team as well. And that's great for organizations to make a commitment to
Yeah,
data from a marketing standpoint. It's very nice and very refreshing to see, and we're doing a lot of great things.
absolutely. I mean, no one knows better than me that you need data for marketing for sure.
Yes, that's right.
Yep, yep, yeah. Great. Now, as a leader, Amber, you're not a very traditional, you don't have a very traditional path. Like people like 25 years in credit unions, you're not that person, not, not am I, right? So we are different in terms of path. So moving from real estate to the startup world, then moving to credit unions, not another credit union. Obviously, you face bunch of challenges, right? Bunch of challenges in the uh, earlier days of you taking up roles because it's new challenge every single time because you're changing completely. So, what are the challenges that you faced in your life, and how do you overcome challenges?
Yeah, it's interesting. Um, I feel like there's a few challenges. I would say specifically moving from, like you said, the non-credit union world to the credit union world. There's a lot of people, a majority of the people I would say that I work closely with have spent their entire career working in financial services, just like you
Yeah,
said. And so you walk in, and I always say that I'm the perfect person to have on a marketing team because I am your average potential member, right? Because I don't know anything about CDs. I don't know what I should be looking for in terms of picking a checking account. I
yeah,
remember going to my first pricing committee meeting and people, the conversation being around basis points and frantically Googling while I'm sitting there listening and trying to pretend I know what everyone's talking
yeah,
about. But
yeah.
it really does provide, like I have such a wealth of knowledge on my team now too. I have a lot of my leadership has spent a lot of time working in credit unions and other areas in the financial services industry. But I think having that just differences in life experiences and opinions are really helpful. And I would say also the challenges that I faced when I was younger, I've been fortunate to have really great mentors to kind of help me overcome them. So I remember when I first moved from a more communication centric role into more of a general marketing role, kind of faced the same thing where I was not the expert, right? I did not know. I was in a lot of meetings where I didn't know the topics as well as everyone else. And I had a chief sales and marketing officer who I used to work for, and she was amazing. I mean, she's really who I try to model my professional life after. She was a visionary. She was just incredible. People were always awed and inspired by her. And she would always tell me to act as if, and really to being able to take all of your insecurities. And I think a lot of women face this too, wondering if you're good enough, wondering if with all of your different roles and responsibilities that you have both at work and outside of work, are you juggling them well enough? But really being able to go out and have that confidence and be able to portray yourself as the professional you want to be, even if you don't always feel it. So I think that was something that really mattered a lot to me, is being able to overcome feelings of, am I inadequate? I'm not the expert. I haven't been here 20 years. I'm brand new. I'm not
Yeah.
as familiar with the industry, and just being able to have the confidence in yourself and know that you're there for a reason, right? And I think that's been really important to me in terms of overcoming challenges, is being able to level set and say, I'm here for a reason, and this is the why.
It's very similar to, my background, in case you do not know, right? So I used to work with Fortune 500s, not even banks. I used to work with oil
Yeah.
and gas, telco, retailers, even like 4.5 years back, 4 years back. I only started working with banks 4 years back, 4.5 years back. With credit unions, hardly 2.5 years back. But people trusted me. I think the most important, what we talked about is that trusting in yourself, that you're here, you've taken up this role for a reason. People have trusted you for a reason, So it's not about selling, underselling or overselling yourself. It's not even selling. It's about just believing that you can do it. And there's a mentor who talks about something that you can only disrupt an ecosystem when you do not know anything about that place. Otherwise, you'll always have preconceived idea. We talked about these basis points, talked about his CD. Amber, that's important. But
Yeah.
a marketer's life, a marketer's role is completely different. To bring a fresh perspective to whatever you're doing right now and drive brand awareness, drive impact, drive results. And that can only happen if you bring fresh perspectives and change things.
Yeah.
So I think you are perfectly fit in the current role that you're doing. You should never discount yourself. I mean, that's for sure.
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you.
Absolutely right. So talk about advice, right? So now uh, you mentor people in your team regularly. You mentor other people outside the credit unions. You want to share specific advice for aspiring female leaders?
Absolutely. I think, the first one is find your mentor, right? And it doesn't always have to be like I gave an example of the chief sales and marketing officer that I worked with when I first started at the B2B startup. And she was a great fit for me. We connected well. We had a long-standing relationship that absolutely went far beyond her time in that role. But not every person, just because they are a great fit on paper, isn't necessarily a great fit for you. So you have to search out your mentors and find one that makes sense for you. And really the person that you're going to learn from, the person that you feel you can be honest with, and somebody that you personally admire and respect. I think that really matters. The other thing that I think I already talked about a little bit, but just know your worth, right?
Yep.
Being able to understand and know that you are that the value you bring to an organization really matters, and don't get thrown off by worrying about what other people think of you, worrying if you're good enough. Again, you're there for a reason. And I think that being able to really live that is extremely important. I think about as being a female leader, and the fact that we are in 2025. I can tell you within the last 5 years, I have served on boards where I was the only woman in the room. So they say, Amber, you can take notes, right? And
Are
well,
you serious? Wow.
oh yeah, I mean, and it's like, well, I can take notes, but I'm not going to be your official note taker just because, and I think it's a combination of being a female and a marketer. So they're like, well, you like writing, so you can write down our notes for us, or being the person that's expected to order a birthday cake or whatever it is. And I think that, all of those go into being part of a team, but you should, again, know that you don't have to be the default, especially earlier in your career, knowing that you don't always have to be the person to do the work that other people don't want to do just because you're a woman. So I think that's something else that it just goes back again to knowing your worth. And then the last thing I would say is, just take advantage of every learning opportunity that you can. One of the things that AmeriCU is so great at is they give all of their employees subscriptions to LinkedIn Learning. And there is so much you can do. And part of it is, we were talking about CDs and basis points and stuff like that. Part of it is knowing the language of your industry, and that's important. But a lot of growth is beyond the technical, right? It's trying to be very honest with yourself. And that's part of having a good mentor, is somebody who's going to tell you where you need to improve and not sugarcoat it for you. Being able to take advantage of learning to grow and be open and responsive to that feedback, and think to yourself, how am I going to make a change? And I'm far from perfect, right? And I know I've spent 25 years in marketing, and I still have so much to learn, so many ways that I can continue to grow. And another piece of that really is surrounding yourself with other people who are experts in their fields, because you're not going to be an expert in everything, but knowing the people and finding those relationships to surround yourself with are going to make you more successful.
I would say you are very humble, right? Spending 25 years in marketing is not a joke. It's like a a life spending in marketing. Right? So you're very
Yeah,
humble
but
about that. So
I
it's
will
good.
say though, I remember my first job when I worked in communications, internal communications for the real estate organization. One of our channels was faxes, and I was like, like fax marketing is not a thing anymore. So I mean, as much as like all of the knowledge I've been able to learn from over my 25 years is valuable, but it is funny. Some is more valuable than others in 2025. So
Now, cut to chase fax marketing to unvisible media right now, right? So it
there
has
you
been
go.
a long path. Yeah,
Yep.
I'm good. Yeah, great. Now, Amber, as you told that you have specific focus on even data analytics because you know that without analytics, without hyper-personalized targeting, removing the jargon and the buzzwords, but doing actual personalized targeting, using third-party data, etc. That's almost becoming table stakes because unless you do that, you can't compete with the. I mean, I'm not naming banks, by the way, the large banks that's in your backyard, right? Or the Chimes of the world, SoFis of the world. You cannot compete with them. So, how do you think, or how are you using data and analytics uh, to improve marketing for AmeriCU?
So we are still continuing to evolve in ways that we can use data and analytics, really. But our ultimate goal is to use it in a way that's going, like you said, to drive more of those personalized and connected member experiences. It's incredible. Like at the individual level, I think there's so much more. We are definitely on a very good path, but I think that there's so much more opportunity ahead of us to create even more touch points and more journeys that are not just product aligned, not just saying that this person's this age and they already have this product with us, or they live in this community, but it's more about, it goes beyond product and it goes beyond your more traditional demographics to be able to look at key lifestyle indicators, right? And using data to not just be able to predict what the next best product is for them, but really to be able to connect with them on that deeper level. Like if you're spending money at Chewy every month, you're likely a pet owner. And so how can I connect with you and say, I don't just know you in terms of what you have in terms of financial products, but I know who you are as a person. And really, because when it comes down to it, all of marketing is really connecting with somebody at a personal level. So that's really important, and I think that that's where I see in terms of shaping member experience and growth. I think it's getting beyond the product and really connecting with people, who they are as individuals. And then I really think that at a higher level, it's continued usage of data and analytics is going to allow us to be more efficient with our spend, more targeted with our message, and really being able to get away from, I know my marketing is working because I see activity happening, but I don't know what part of it is working, right? Being able to get more targeted and spend your dollars and our members' dollars more efficiently. And I really think that that's important. I think one of the challenges that many organizations face is knowing what data is the right data. I mean, we have so much, right? Everybody has so much, but
I know.
how do you take that overwhelming mountain of data that you have and can potentially use and be able to drill it down to what is the data that matters to me? What is actually going to make a difference? I always, getting like kind of shying away from the whole concept of analysis paralysis, right? Where you just
Yeah.
have so much, you can't get started. And I think part of it too is just, taking those small steps that are going to help you build a big program.
No, I think that makes absolute sense, right? And you did touch on the high points that, basics, table stakes. If you know someone is spending on Chewy, how can you go and hyper personalize the messaging to that person that, you should get A, B, and C products? Absolutely makes sense. In the interest of time, one quick question, one parting question, Amber. Now it's a broad-based question. I mean, not only just marketing, but for 2025, right? I mean, obviously, very interesting with with administration changing, cryptos coming in, rates fluctuating, right? So a lot of changes coming in. So how does 2025 look like from your perspective? Because marketing is always the organization that's mouthpiece of of a credit union, and you're held responsible for growing the credit union, right? And that's very real. So how do you think this year is looking like for you?
I This year has been very successful thus far. I mean, we are seeing a lot of growth in throughout the credit union. From a marketing standpoint, we've been able to bring more of that balance back. Financial institutions across the board had been very deposit focused over the past few years. I'm
Yep,
seeing just overall some of that leveling up. You're seeing more auto promotions and
yeah,
mortgage promotions and other promotions in market, which I think
yeah,
is great for the consumer because it's bringing more of that balance back to that relationship.
yeah,
I think, one of the things that we're focused on in AmeriCU is just continued growth and expansion, being able to serve more members across our field of membership, and again, going back to data and staying focused and being able to get the right message to the right audience. Because for people who are unfamiliar with New York State, a lot of people think New York State is like the city and Westchester, and that's about it. But
no,
New York
really,
is a big state, and it's very diverse,
yeah,
and you have all different types of demographics. You have all so many different opportunities to get out to market, and I think that continuing to be focused on what makes, from more of a community perspective, what makes those communities tick and being able to get that message out to them. But I think overall, I mean, I think it's an exciting time to be in marketing and at a financial institution, because we are kind of getting out of that, deposit only focus. I think that we're going to see a lot more innovation and creativity coming out to market. And I'm just really excited for it.
I'm sure. So Amber, this was a great uh, interview that we quickly had, and again, thank you for taking your time out to chat with us. We really appreciate this.
Yeah, I loved it. Thank you so much for having me.
Absolute pleasure. Thank you.